I'm going to guide you through it. So no worries. You don't need to know how to do this already, but I want to encourage you to let your eyes close. You can have your screen on or off. I will encourage you as we go, if you can have your screen on, it's much more enjoyable for me to talk to faces and not into thin air. To get started, go ahead and plant your feet on the ground. Sit up nice and tall. Let your shoulders drop from your ears. We're going to start with what is called Nadi Shovana, alternating nostril breathing. And I'll just give you a little, for those of you who are new to breath work, when we utilize alternating nostril breathing, it is a form of bilateral stimulation. We're not going into the nervous system today, but it is a nervous system technique. It also, what happens is if someone is experiencing a lot of anxiety or nerves, right? They're doing something, and even though I've done hundreds of these, I still get a little nervous every time, right? We tend to end up in just one side of our brain. And we really don't want to be in one side of our brain when we're in the creative space, right? So we want to be able to explore both sides, right? The logical side and the creative side. So this is going to help us get out of that one side that's kind of just spinning around and around. So we'll start with our thumb on our right nostril. I'm going to recommend either feet planted on the ground, or you can have left leg over right leg. We're going to sit up tall. I like to close my eyes while I do this. You may want to too. And you're going to close your lips. You're going to breathe in up the left side. We'll close the left side, keeping both now held. Then you'll open the right side and exhale down the right. We're going to inhale, lips stay sealed up the right side. Close the right side and then exhale down the left side. Inhale up the left side. Close left side, open right side. Inhale up right. Close right. Keep the lips sealed. Exhale down left. I'm going to keep this pattern. Inhale, follow the inhalation up the left side. Bring your focus to your third eye. Close the left, open the right. Exhale. Inhale up right. Close right. Exhale down left. Inhale up left. Close left. Open right. Exhale. I'm going to take one more full round. Inhale up right. Close right. Open left. Inhale up left. Close left. Open right. All right, drop your hands, let your eyes close for a moment. And just be here for a moment. Just notice and observe. Notice how your body feels. Notice your breath. Again, mind's going to want to start to critique and judge, analyze, and I want you to practice just witnessing and being. And when you're ready, you can just let your eyes open and we'll come back. All right. And hopefully even just like the 1 minute, 2 minutes of this breathing, powerful breathing technique, you might feel a little shift, right? A little change in your own system. Of course, sometimes we need a little longer, but for the sake of time today, just wanted to do a little bit just to get us grounded. So we are going to talk about our inner critic today. I'm going to bring Tammy on, and she has so generously, so kindly is going to let me take her through the exercise. So you will actually get to witness a technique. I find so often in these master classes, they talk about a lot of things. They tell you about a lot of things, but you don't actually get to see it or experience it. And I am a person who learns best by witnessing and viewing, not just reading, right? I'm an embodiment person. And so I want you guys to also have that experience. Before we dive in, I wanted to just introduce myself for those of you who are new to my world. I am Rachel. Welcome. And if you are new, you will see that I have a bit of a different approach to somatic work, to trauma work than I would say a lot of people. I believe that we have all experienced trauma. The day we were born, if we're being fully honest with ourselves, that was traumatic, right? You were in a belly, it was warm, it was dark, it was, I'm guessing, I don't know, I don't remember, relatively quiet. And then all of a sudden, this pelvic bone is pushing on you. Okay, that alone, right, is got to be traumatic. It's pushing against you. It's pushing against you harder and harder and harder. And then all of a sudden, it is loud, right? There are bright lights, people bustling around everywhere. That's got to be a harsh experience for a brand new baby coming into this world. And we all went through that. Now, we don't remember it, right? But throughout the years of our lives, we experience trauma. It's just part of being a human. And with that being said, we're going to tap a little into trauma today because I have found most inner criticism is trauma. It is from a traumatic experience, either one that has been witnessed, one that has been experienced and you remember or you blocked, right, from your own memory, or one that society, right, one that's in our social environment, or one that's been passed down from generations before you, one that is cultural, right? There's so many different angles that trauma comes in. So, but why should you listen to me? Like, who even the hell is this woman? So, I have been doing this work for a little over 25 years. I started off as a psychotherapist about 25 years ago, working in residential treatment facility. And I saw my clients, they would come in, we do a lot of cognitive work together. And then because it was a inpatient facility, they would come, we would do the work, they would then, you could say, graduate. And then 6 months later, they were back again. And it really upset me to the point where I ended up walking away and I took a break for many years. During that break, I got introduced to physical movement as a form of healing. I didn't know it at the time. I originally got into that work because myself, right? A lot of the times I always say we go first. I was looking to get healthy. I had weight to lose. I was unhealthy at that time and I lost about 50 pounds. And then from there, that I got from weight training, I got introduced to yoga. In the yoga world, I started to feel this incredible experience every time I left the mat. And I wanted to understand it more. So it led me into yoga teacher training. That was in 2010. And then now, 15 years later, almost 14 years later, many, many trainings. And along that road, right, along all these years, I forget who, I think it was at a Sean Korn teacher training, yoga training. I was talking to her about a trauma I had as a child, an injury. And she's like, you need to go see a somatic therapist. And I thought, what's that? I had never even heard of it at this point. And so I got home, I Googled it, searched it, found someone, and I learned more about myself in that work than I mean, it was literally mind blowing. And I knew from that point forward that this would be a huge piece of my work. And over the years, I've found ways to now integrate all my worlds together. And I find for me and for many of my clients, it to be extremely powerful because we are not just bodies, right? We are not just humans with bodies. We have a psyche, we have a soul, and we have a body. And we must treat all these parts if we want to be able to live a really full, beautiful life, right? And so often trauma, as we go back into it for a second, we're going to talk about it a little bit, parts of us break off when we experience a trauma. And then those parts, they become closed off, but they live inside of us. And so often they are what cause us pain. They are so often what cause us to get sick. They are so often causing us the anxiety, the depression, so many things that we are facing in our day-to-day lives. So this work, it is so important, guys. It is important as humans. It is important no matter what your work in this world is, right? As a fitness provider, as a therapist, as a coach, if you are serving people, as an attorney, done. Whoever you are serving, when you can come from a trauma-informed lens, when you can learn to treat people with deep care and understand the whole being, we become really powerful, right? We become powerful, they become powerful. Lena and I have talked about this, and as a collective, this is how we're going to change. We're going to change our culture, our society. I really do believe that. So I want to just acknowledge each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you for taking some time out of your day, being here with me today, and wanting to do this work with me. So let me tell you a little bit as a practitioner, what you can expect when you do this work with your clients. So many people come to me and they're like, Rachel, how do I just create a successful business? And I'm like, yeah, you can do all the fun marketing. Great, amazing. But what if you were just really fucking amazing at what you did so your clients sell your services for you? I don't know about you guys, but I didn't get into the healing work. I didn't get into the work of being a therapist, as being a yoga teacher, a studio owner, any of these things, because I wanted to start marketing, right? I would have gone into marketing. I wanted to help people. I wanted to serve them because the work had meant so much to me. It had helped me so much. And so this is what happens when you do this work. When you elevate your skills, next level. And I really mean it. Like, I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass, really next level. I see Lena shaking her head. Yeah. And what happens is your clients then can't stop talking about you with your friend, with their friends, with their family, with their neighbor, with their sister. And that's how your business explodes. That's what happened to my client, Clarissa. She did the Somatic program. God, it's been probably 2 or 3 years ago at this point. She was a hypnotherapist. She integrated the somatic work with her hypnotherapy. And dude, in 3 months, guys, can't believe I just said dude, hello 1990s. But in 3 months, she had a sold out waiting list. She had her first 5-figure month. And she wasn't marketing. She has absolutely zero marketing. It was all word of mouth. It was all referral based. And that's what's possible for each of you. So I want you to take what you're going to learn today, and I really hope you'll apply it and you'll use it. Okay? That is really important to me. Now, with that being said, as we go through this and you're like, God, Rachel, I really want more. At the end, I will tell you about how you can get more from me and possible ways to work together. So let's talk about inner criticism for a moment, how it forms, and why thought work alone really isn't enough. And I I did thought work. I was a cognitive behavioral therapist for many years. And I'm not saying it's not great. It is needed. It's just doesn't include the entire picture. So let me share. I think I already shared this. I have some notes on the sides. And if I'm jumping all over the place, I didn't look at my notes and now I'm referring back to them just so I don't want to miss anything. Okay. So let's talk about an injury versus a trauma. Okay. When there's a violence that happens to you, whether that's a system, a culture, or person to person, that is an injury, guys. Okay. Lots of us experience lots of injuries in our lives, right? Now, it becomes a trauma when there is no witness. So let me give you an example from my childhood. Okay. I was in kindergarten and I was on the school bus. Okay. I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. And this boy, when I got on the school bus, goes, hee ha ha, where's your horns? And he was much meaner than that. But it was very, to me, what I remember, where are your horns? And I was confused because I was like, horns? And he's like, yeah, all Jews have horns. And in that moment, I felt my shoulders hunch over. I felt myself sink into the chair. I felt my head drop and tears came down my eyes. But I was trying to wipe them away, right? Because I didn't want to be embarrassed. That was the injury, okay? I got home that afternoon and I told my mom. And she blew me off. And she told me, oh, you're exaggerating, Rachel. You're too sensitive. You need to just let that go. He's just another kid. He's stupid. He doesn't know anything. That was now traumatic because nobody witnessed my pain. Now, I'm not comparing this type of a trauma to, let's say, abuse or neglect, but this is a trauma, okay? Whether it be someone bullies someone, whether it is a culture that says it's not okay to be a certain color, or it's not okay to love a certain person, right? It doesn't matter. If you experience an injury and then you share it with another person and it goes unwitnessed, or you don't share it with anyone out of fear to share it and it goes unwitnessed, that becomes trauma. That trauma lands in our bodies. And until it is processed, it will stay there. And there's a lot of medical research out there that shows this. So if you want to go and look it up, go look it up. I highly recommend. Great book, The Body Keeps the Score. Also, When the Body Says Enough, two really great books if you're interested in learning more about how the body holds on. It shows up in our posture. It will show up in our digestion. It will show up in so many different ways. Your sleep, I could go on and on. That's for another day. So the key thing I want you to take away is that when the witness is not there, a trauma happens. And what happens very often is it is then internalized. The message is internalized. So for me, example, that message of what you think is not true. My internalized message for so long, until I started doing this work and understanding it, was I can't trust myself. I can't trust what I think. I can't trust my own experience. And that lived out in a lot of ways. I won't go into it today. I have a book coming out. You can read all about it. In all the ways I did not trust myself, and many other stories from amazing people that I've gotten to work with. So that becomes now the inner critic for a lot of us. That's why I say you can't talk about inner criticism without talking about trauma. Okay. Now, there is a theory out there that I just wanted to address that you can disagree with me. I'm totally okay with it. And I want to address it because I think it's really important as a practitioner, right? As someone who is out in this world trying to help and support other people in their growth, that there is a how do I want to say that that the inner critic is there as a protector. Okay? That the inner critic is there to serve you. I'm sorry. I think inner critics are just plain old, they have something to teach us. I don't agree necessarily that they're there as a protector. They may be, but they also may not be. When you approach your sessions or you approach your work, whether it's one-on-one or in groups, whether it is in a more coaching therapy setting or a more fitness setting, or even if it's in the courtroom, right, Donna? It doesn't matter. If we go in with another human and we are basing our discussion off a theory that we've been taught, we are now dismissing this person. Do you see that? Because now we're saying that their experience doesn't fit this theory. So I want to highly, highly encourage you. I'm one of them. I'm still working on this. I had to memorize so many theories in graduate school, and anyone else in this room who maybe has had to too, drop them all. Let all the theories go. The Freud theories, the Jung theories, all the analysts out, let them go. All the psychological theories, let them go. And let your client's experience instead be what dictates how you serve them, how you treat them, okay? When we go off theory, we are often going from a more allopathic medicine model, which means you have a problem, something is wrong. That means that there's a part of you that is potentially broken and needs to be fixed. And then let's create a plan to fix it. Guys, we are not broken. We are just humans with parts of ourselves that have been silenced, maybe have been fragmented off, and we need to re-strengthen them. Do you see the difference? I'm just going to go in with the approach that this person's experience has everything I need in order to help support them. I don't need a theory. If I go in with a theory, the only thing that's likely to happen is my client will feel that they will definitely not be as vulnerable with me. They will not feel as safe with me. They will feel potentially judgment, and we won't actually get where we want to go. Okay. I wanted to say that before we dive in. We're about to dive in to the technique, because a lot of people come to me with they're like, well, what about this theory, Rachel? Or what about that? And I'm like, I don't have a theory. I used to, but I've come to learn that my clients in their experience and their bodies always have the answers. The medicine lives within. And I don't need a theory to figure that out. I just need them. Okay. So we're going to do 2 techniques. And if I have time, I'll introduce a third one. Before I bring Tammy on and I'm going to take her through it, I want everyone to think back over the last 24 hours. Something you can criticize yourself for over the last 24 hours. If you're like, I can't think of anything over the last 24 hours, just think over the last week. Pick something, write it down on a piece of paper. Because as I take Tammy through this, I want you to take yourself through it. I have a big theory that we go first, okay? Hence the heal it, master it, then teach it, okay? So I'm going to take Tammy through it, but I want you to be taking yourself alongside, okay? So let me bring Tammy on. Let me see if I can figure out how to do it. Hold on. Tammy, hold on. Let's see. Spotlight. There you are. Thank you, Tammy. So let's all first just give Tammy a big clap for being vulnerable with us, with a bunch of, besides Lena and me, random people. I have to give Tammy just a shout out, because I did one of these classes before the last cohort, and Tammy had already invested. She was already in to do the work, but she volunteered And it was amazing. So now I've just decided that Tammy's my permanent volunteer. That one I hadn't planned in advance. I hadn't asked her. I just picked randomly, but this one I was like, Tammy did such a great job. I'm just gonna ask. She doesn't know what we were gonna be asking today or what I was gonna be doing. I just said, Tammy, will you be my volunteer? And she's such a great sport. And she's like, yeah.
I made a decision along, just FYI, that like in the last year, I guess, that I can't help myself or anybody else if I'm not totally authentic and vulnerable. And I will say, had we been sitting in a room all together physically, I'm not sure that I would have been as vulnerable, but like in this situation, it's sort of like a dating app.
Oh
And
my
you
God, I love it.
just kind of, you're like, yeah, this is me. And then if you get scared, you ghost them and block them, and and you never have to see them again. So, but I
The
haven't.
truth is, Tammy, even if it was in a live room, you could kind of somewhat do the same thing.
You could. But yeah, no,
Um,
I'm a little oversharer. So I just,
no, it's perfect. Tammy brings so much life and just incredible how much yeah, I won't go on. I'll just be talking too much. All right, Tammy. So we're gonna start this technique I call outing the inner critic. Okay, because we're gonna out her inner critic. So Tammy, tell us something that your inner critic maybe has said recently that you can recall.
well, oftentimes, like even in the last thing, I think I refuse to acknowledge the inner critic because I'm so anti inner critic. Like I want so much to turn it around and be positive. But I realized even when you asked that question, where I went, I am a perfectionist and my inner critic is a perfectionist. So everything that I do, and the people who are fitness professionals on here are going to get it right away. My son, this is great, Rachel, you're going to like this. My youngest son calls it ballet trauma. And so now when he introduces me to people, he goes, "Oh, she has ballet trauma just like you." So it has to do with the fact that yesterday I drove home from Hilton Head and I got back early. I could have done so many things. I could have gone to the gym. I could have, like meal prepped all my week. I could have done all this stuff, but I did not. I ate all day, even when I didn't really want to eat. I sat on the couch and just watched TV. And I didn't do anything. So when I woke up today, my inner critic's like, you were so lazy yesterday. And you're such a slob and you've gained X amount of weight and
Okay.
so
Hold
yeah.
on a minute. Okay. So I want you guys to see I am taking notes. And I think it is important that we are going to want to use Tammy's words. Okay. So I'm taking notes. I have no problem with it. I will tell my clients sometimes I'm going to write down your words. Okay. So Tammy's inner critics, one of the things she said is, you are so lazy, right? That was the first one because it's referring to her having a rest day, basically. And what we're going to do is we're going to out this inner critic. So we're going to do a little role playing to fully out this inner critic. Okay, Tammy?
Okay.
So I am going to be you,
Okay.
Tammy, and you are the inner critic. And so
Okay.
I want you, as the inner critic, to to put it on me, Tammy.
Okay.
Okay? So go ahead and you're going to say these things, everything that comes up to me.
All
All
right.
right. You're the inner critic.
You want me to just say it to you
Say it to me.
like you're me?
I am you.
That's really hard.
I know. Go for it. You got it.
Because I see how mean that is.
Okay. Yeah.
You and not productive.
Mhm.
Um, You are so lazy. I haven't seen you move yet. All you've done is sit there and talk on a screen. How lazy can you be? You could at least get up and like move around. I haven't seen you eat anything. That's a good thing. It's been probably what, how many minutes and you haven't put anything in your mouth. Good for you. But most of the time, what I see is garbage going in your mouth. You're not drinking enough water. You haven't drunk any water. What's up with that? And you're sitting on your ass. No wonder it's the size it is. Um, you you're under this facade that you're helping people, but you can't even walk your talk.
Mm.
There's my, yeah.
Okay, pause for a moment. Now, I want you to say it with more tone, rougher. So, guys, why am I doing this? So, this is how I teach is throughout it, I'm also explaining why I'm doing what I'm doing. So there's two things when we out the critic. There's two ways to out a critic. One is just through language, right? Tammy is using language. The second one is through tone because the critic lives in the shadows. And so way she's saying it, it is probably 10x the way she's actually experiencing it. So the way we out the inner critic is through words and then tone. Okay, so Tammy, I want you to keep going. I'm still you, you're still the inner critic, and I want you to make it rougher and give it more tone.
You're so fucking lazy. You waste so much time. You are sitting there for hours. I mean, there are 24 hours in a day, and you only spent two of them doing anything productive. The rest of the time, I've seen nothing. All I've seen you do is eat, sit on your ass, watch TV. I mean, you don't even talk to people. You're just by yourself, sitting in your apartment, being a lazy fucking slob. What a waste of life. What a waste.
Hmm. Okay, so now pause a minute. And the next part of this, so there's two parts to this, is I want Tammy to now start to, and I can tell already she's experiencing something in her body because Tammy is connected. Some of our clients will not be, some will be. The second part is I want Tammy now to somatically get in touch with what's happening when these words are coming at her. So we're going to switch roles for a moment, Tammy. And in a moment, I'm going to say these words back to you. Okay? Not yet, because we want to prepare our client. We don't want to just start doing it to them because we don't ever, 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 right? Want this to go, we don't want this to keep going, right? This inner criticism, right? And so I don't want to just throw these words at her without preparing her, right? Because I want it to be where she's being acutely aware of what's happening in her body, because that's how we're going to start to transform this critic into an ally. Okay. So, Tammy, I know you know I don't think these things, but I am going to say these harsh words back to you. And I want you to pay really close attention to your body, not so much the words. And I want you to notice what's happening somatically, guys. Somatically, what's happening in the physical body. Okay. So stay in your body best you can. And I'm going to say these words to you. Okay. You're so fucking lazy. You're so lazy. I can't believe you've just been sitting around and you've done nothing for 2 hours. 2 hours wasted just sitting around. Could have been so much more productive. And you're just by yourself and you're just a waste. So fucking lazy. What happens in your body?
Well, it started when I started saying it to you. Um, I get super tense.
Mhm.
Like like I'm frozen.
Like you're
Like,
frozen.
yeah. And I'm really looking for a way out. My jaw's getting tight, my neck is getting tight, my chest is getting tight, my
Okay.
my feet are moving. Like it's like a kinetic response. Like yeah, like I really want to get out of here.
I want it. She wants to escape. She
Hmm.
wants to get out of here. So go to that tight jaw and that tight neck for a moment and just stay with it for a moment. And guys, FYI, if I was with a client, I would spend way more time doing this than I am today because I only left a little over an hour for us today. And I'm not going to keep you guys here all day. But so Tammy, take that jaw or your neck. Which one would you say feels stronger?
Probably my jaw, because yeah.
Okay, can you take that sensation and show us with your hand what it looks like? How would you demonstrate it? Ah, so she's making fists, right? Guys, you see that? Her thumbs are wrapped around and she's got the knuckles like almost turning white. Okay. Now if you stay with that, how and like let's just become a little bit more tight. What happens when you get tighter, Tammy? What happens to your entire body?
It's contracting. My
Okay.
nails are digging into my palms, and my whole body is getting so freaking tight.
Okay. And is there a sound? Because sound, guys, that is a somatic technique. Is there a sound that wants to come out?
Yeah, do you want to?
Yes. And I want you to make it really loud because Zoom is going to try to quiet you.
Well, here it goes.
I, okay. I love it. So Tammy goes, gets really tight. And as she gets tight, her arms pull down. Did you guys see that? And it's this noise. It's like it's a holler. Yeah. Yeah. And Tammy, if we were to, what I would do with Tammy if we were to continue, and I would really go a lot slower, guys, FYI, if I was working one-on-one, or even in a group though, if I'm doing a group training, I did it in my class on Friday. I asked everyone to make a noise and stay with it. So Tammy, let's do it one more time. Amplify it for me, because remember, the inner critic lives in the shadow. All
I
right.
live in
So
an apartment building. I hope nobody's
Well, whatever.
okay. All right, do it one more time.
One more time for us.
All right. Ah!
Mhm. Okay. And Tammy, can you just take a moment? What would it be like for you, right? If we brought more of this tight, I don't, how would you describe the sound for you?
Well, if I so it's a if there was movement to go with it, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to clean up. But I would throw shit all around the place and
Okay.
yell at the same time. I would be pissed. There's so much anger that would be coming out that yeah, and incidentally, because I've talked to, can I share this, right? Like incidentally, Rachel helped me recognize that my need for movement and physical activity and intensity of it was okay.
Mm.
Because for me, what doesn't work is this whole somatic idea that we gotta lay on the floor and be quiet, and that does nothing for me. This is the energy that has to come out. And so I have to like box. I have to beat the shit out of something, ground and pound, like that's what needs to come out. And so I do that. Like even when I teach power yoga, I am the active teacher. I am not the one going, okay, let's be quiet and gentle, because I don't need that. That is not what I need at
Yeah,
all.
it's a forceful energy. It's a powerful energy, is
Yeah.
what I'm getting from you, Tammy. And so, if you could be more like this in your life,
hmm
where, what would be different?
Well, I find that since I've been embracing this me, I I am not quiet and reserved anymore like I was brought up to be. Like no one wants to hear you. Like I'm I have a tendency to say, I mean, I am a mature person who knows how to get along in society, but I also now know how to ask for what I need. Like I'm not so afraid, like I'm not so thinking that my needs don't matter. And so now I'm much more likely to say that's not going to work for me. Like even teaching these kind of classes, I have told this one studio, I'm like, I'm not going to teach it like that because I know I'm not the only me. Like there are other people. And this goes with like what you were saying in the beginning, embracing like what you're really good at. Like I know I'm not the only person like myself. And I will attract the other me's, and it's worked that way. And even in silver sneakers, like today I had them do this breath, because I felt like that was what was needed. And after class, I had people comment and say, what they experienced. And so it's making me more confident in myself, like who I am and what I need to say and what I need to ask for.
So the inner critic inside Tammy, right, who's trying to tell her to tighten, to get like that tightening, that fierceness, that power, that strength, it's not about getting smaller. It's about getting louder and speaking up for herself. And the more she does that, the more Tammy becomes Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful thing. So, what did we do, guys? We out the inner critic first. After we out the inner critic, and simply outing the inner critic is making contact with it. Your client getting to hear the words that are being said to them. The second step is having a discussion with this inner critic, right? We've got to get to know what this inner critic is trying to communicate. And then we have to connect with how that is actually landing in this body, because it is a body experience that we're experiencing day in and day out. And then only then can we take that and integrate it. And we integrate it not by making it smaller, not by making it go away, not by releasing it, by bringing more of it forward. Tammy's inner critic is angry and loud. Now, we don't necessarily, Tammy doesn't necessarily want to get angry, right, in life, but she does want to speak up. And right, we take the energy of it, not necessarily the meaning behind the words we say, but that energy it was strong and forceful and powerful. And that is Tammy's inner critic transformed as her ally. So thank you, Tammy. Thank you for sharing your inner critic. And you will see just step one, guys, outing the inner critic, having your clients say those words. Clients, having your client hear the words back, having them say the words to you, they will have a very therapeutic experience, because most of us, it only lives in our head and we never speak it out loud. So those words go unwitnessed. They are never heard.
Yeah, and we get shamed in our society for having them in the first place. That's why for me it was so hard to like say what was critical because I was in so much denial that I had anything critical, because heaven forbid I'm that, no, I'm not going to do that.
And so to unshame it, we've got to bring it to the surface. We've got to hear it. It's incredible to watch that as we just allow those voices to be witnessed. And even if it's not only witnessed, and I'm going to in a moment share a technique that you can practice on yourself with yourself, even if you are the only witness, it will start to lose its power. You will start to, we can say, heal, feel stronger, more connected, whatever words you want to use. So thank you. Thank you, Tammy, for allowing me to demo with you. You want to take people slowly through these steps. You want to be mindful that this is trauma that we are often working with. That doesn't mean that you have to have a special trauma certification. Anyone can witness another person, long as you come at it from a perspective of caring, from this place of love without the judgment. Now, I'm not saying, I highly encourage, if you want to work and go deeper with people, get the training, do the certification. It will be mind-blowing, I promise. But don't let it scare you away from being able to be a witness. Okay? So I want to share with you, and I'm going to unpin you, Tammy. Thank you. Um, mm, mm. I want to share with you all a technique that I highly encourage you do with yourself every night, because the best way to become good at this work, practice on yourself, in all truthfulness. You want to be able to help support people in their inner critic, starts with you. So you can't, like I just said, you can't just write it on a piece of paper and look at your inner critic, because it does not become embodied that way. It stays in your head. And it is going to just keep living in your head, in all truthfulness. If you want to get it out, you want to fully process it, you want to move forward and have that, not have that inner critic, shaming you and keeping you playing, if it's small, right? Or whatever it may be for you, we've got to get it out loud. So here's my recommendation. Identify your inner critic. So for example, right now I just looked at the time and my inner critic said, oh shit, Rachel, you're taking too long. Look at the time. You're not going to even leave enough time for questions. And you're not going to leave enough time to like bring Tammy and Lena on where they can talk about their experience in the program. Oh my God, there you go. You're wasting more time. Do you hear her? There she keeps fucking going. Okay. So what am I going to do with this inner critic? I could just write it down and be like, no. Okay, no, I'm going to say it out loud. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play both roles that I played with Tammy. So I might stand up, or I'll just stay seated so you guys can see me. And I'm going to turn my chair and I'm going to say, oh my God, I can't believe it. You just keep talking, you keep going on. And oh my God, you're just going over time. And these people have their own things to do. And you should really respect their time better. And you should get better at timing these things. You should know better. I cannot believe you just did that. Okay. Now I'm going to respond to the inner critic. It's very important that we respond to the inner critic. Okay. First, I'm going to check in with my body, which it's like, ooh, kind of doesn't feel great, right? In my body, my chest gets a little tight. And then I'm going to respond back. Now I might respond with words, right? I might respond with a noise, but my first response, my thought back to this inner critic is, fuck you. Fuck you. This is really valuable, important information. And if I go over and it takes me longer, then I'm just going to let it take me longer, because people need this and they need to be able to share it with other people. And we need to pass this on, because if we just keep beating ourselves up, then we don't show up as our best selves and we're not able to support other people. So fuck off. I've been doing this for long enough to know that it's okay if it takes extra time. People will value it. Okay. And then that's it. You don't go back and forth. You must make sure that you have the last word, not the critic. Critics need boundaries. Critics need boundaries. Otherwise, they will keep going. They will keep assaulting you. It is an assault, guys. It is an assault that's happening over and over and over. It's what's keeping us from doing the things that we are destined to do in our lives. And there, of course, are many other techniques, a couple other ones that we go deep into in the program. But if just these two, outing the inner critic, amplifying it, if even that's all you do, you will be tremendously, tremendously helping both yourself and your people. Because there's not enough spaces in this world where people have the freedom and the safety to have their inner critic witnessed. And instead, the injury just keeps happening over and over. I do want to leave just a moment here if anyone has any questions. You can just unmute yourself if you do. And I'm going to take a sip of water.
How would you say this plays out? Mm, maybe culturally, um, even, yeah, I mean, different cultures may not, it may be someone is just not going to feel so comfortable, if you will, with just, oh, so let's, start let's start this inner critic work to even share that part because some people's trauma is so deep that even just to pull it out or even to trust the person sitting across from them is that in and of itself takes work.
Absolutely. 100%. And that is why this is not necessarily a first session type of work, right? This is work you often after you have built a relationship with someone. I would say that's where the nervous system work, teaching people how to regulate their nervous system first to help create that safety and that co-regulation is imperative. It's even why actually in the training I run, that is the first piece. This is not the first piece. However, it is such an important piece that I think we know, and that's why I wanted to share it. But I would agree with you. There are some, I worked actually Clarissa, the client I mentioned in the beginning, she's Asian. Her father was a refugee, and it's you don't talk, you don't share, emotions are not something expressed. So it was a it was a process to get to the place where she felt safe to even be able to share what was going on in the inside. I will say so often what I find, and that's why I think the somatic work can be so powerful, is often we create the safety first through the movement.
Yeah, Rachel, can I say something about
Yes.
that? Because as well, like what she was just saying, for me, with extreme trauma throughout my life in different times of my life, I had even completely forgotten about other things that had happened. And like what we're doing right now, this inner critic work and what that was not even we didn't I think we like touched on it in the 3 month program, which was so incredible. But it was the actual movement that I was doing, that I was following, that assisted me to not talk about it, but to have the memories come up and to heal it through the movement. So for me, I think like what I want to say is that I think that yes, it's not going to work with all clients, and with the clients that have experienced such extreme trauma, maybe they can't get to that inner critic. Like I'm able to do this with you now, but had I not gone through your 3 month program with the actual movements and the somatic work and that, that entire time, um, I probably would be too freaked out about this kind of work, what we're doing right now. I wouldn't have felt comfortable, and or I maybe would not even have been able to go as deep as I went with what I did with you, with the 3 month program that was mostly the movement, the somatic work, the somatic movement, and the bilateral movements and the witnessing, which you touched on here.
Yeah, I think it definitely, one second, Donna, yeah, and then definitely. I think it does depend on client by client. I've had clients who've been through some pretty extreme traumatic stuff, and because in their cult, they were raised in the culture of you talk about it, you talk about it. And so that person going into a lot of movement felt very intimidating. And I think it just each person is unique and different. And that's why inside the program, we make sure that both sides are addressed. But yeah, Caroline, yeah, there are some people like Lena, with really deep trauma that some just don't even have the memory or the acts. They can't even connect to it. They don't even hear it because it doesn't even feel like a voice. It just feels like a part of them, a piece of them. Yeah. Did that help? Caroline?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Where did Donna go? Now I have to find her on the screen.
It's Dana.
Dana, sorry.
That's okay.
Dana, go ahead. Sorry. I
Thank-
said it the first time, right?
Did say it right the first time.
I think it's because I have a client named Donna, so it's like my brain just wants to revert to that.
No problem. No problem. You know what I guess I'm having trouble with is I guess the response. So, you did the role play by yourself, and the first one, you're telling yourself you're so, terrible, like really terribly. And then it's the response that I'm feeling like I don't see myself responding and without it seeming like I'm making an excuse, right?
Mm.
So it's like, how do you, where, when, or how does it become a positive response if you don't believe that you're positive, right? Like you think you're thinking negatively. So how does that turn around? Because when I saw you do the role play, I'm thinking to myself, I wouldn't respond that way. I would think that that's an excuse.
That's an excuse. Tell me more. How would you respond?
Okay, so if like when I was thinking, because I was kind of on the same line with Tammy, thinking about there were things I was supposed to do that I didn't do, and I just kind of chilled, right? Like,
Yeah.
times during the day, and I'm always criticizing myself for that. And then I think to myself that, well, you need a time to relax. You really do need a time to relax. But then it's kind of, but that's the conflict is you really need time to relax, but this stuff needs to get done, so you can't, no matter what, the deadline's coming and you didn't do what you had to do. So now the deadline's coming and you're freaking out, so it's kind of, that's why I'm thinking that I know I needed that time, or I needed to not do or whatever, but I don't see how to give one positive response and then shut
Right.
it down.
Okay. Right now, you're doing it from a cognitive, logical place.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is learning how to connect to the reaction in your body. And so right now, your head, which is what most of us do, because it's how we've been taught, is creating a logical response, right? Well, no, I did need to relax, but I still didn't do, but I also didn't do what I needed to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not, yeah, we're not worried about the, yes, I needed to relax part. We want to learn more from the critic and what the critic, how it feels for you to feel that in your body when the critic is saying that to you. That reaction of what you're ingesting, my guess, makes you want to relax more and not get up and go do the thing. It has the absolute opposite effect. People People think that motivation is the problem. Procrastinate, it's not. It's not. We are not motivated by abuse. Where did Donna go? Did we lose her? She's not on my screen anymore.
She's there.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, okay. I don't know where you went. Well, I'm going to unpin you so I can find you. Ah, there you are. Okay. So we want to learn how to understand how it feels to ingest the abuse.
Mm-hmm.
When we understand how that abuse physically affects us, we can connect to that part of ourselves. And it's that part of ourselves that has wisdom in it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Does.
It's not up here, which is where our brains want to go. It's
Mm-hmm.
what we all want to do. It's in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our soma.
Okay. And I get it. I'm getting it.
And even saying that's an excuse, like I needed to rest, That's an inner critic.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That there's the critic judging you.
Mhm.
You see that for wanting to have rest.
For sure.
And that is a cultural, a societal thing, right? That our society has created, that we shouldn't rest and that we should go, go, go and never stop. And that's a whole nother subject. But right, so our trauma, like our traumas are not just things that have happened to us. There are things our history has passed down to us. There are things that generations before us have so beautifully gifted us. There are things for you as a Black woman, right? There are things for me as a Jewish person. There are things for Alex as a man, right? That are also going to impact that voice that's coming in. Now, with that being said, my response to my inner critic, yours might be very different, right? You may not tell your inner critic to fuck off. That's just how I want to respond to mine. And I can be honest, that wouldn't have been my response several years ago. I probably would have thought, no, it's just true.
Mhm.
But I had to learn how to start to connect with my body, to also see the other side, if that makes sense.
I'm getting a level of understanding here.
Okay. It is a deeper level of understanding that sometimes we have a hard time cognitively
Mhm.
understanding.
For sure. But I'm understanding now that the response is not supposed to be coming from my head, but what
Exactly.
I'm feeling from what I'm receiving.
That's right. It's coming from the body, the way the body is feeling it.
Okay.
It may come back without even words sometimes.
Mhm.
Like sometimes my response is just a noise, or I get up and it's a movement.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
I
Tammy.
was, I was just going to share that that was what I benefited from taking the course was learning and it was on a totally, not the inner critic, it was a totally different thing that I didn't even realize that I had, to the magnitude that it was affecting my life. I didn't even really realize it. And this course being, especially in the group of people, the kind of people who take it, I felt safe to like be that open. And I learned the difference between a nervous system response and my emotions, because I was raised by a military person and taught to not have any emotions, and a really critical change in my life, and I really didn't know how I felt because I was not ever conditioned to speak it. And so, and I did, and this brought me to as a fitness professional, what I learned, and a yoga teacher, is how like I'm fairly connected to my body, yet I didn't, there are like so many layers. So my point was going to be, it's a practice, number one, like it's not a one and done. And like years go by, like with my inner critic and the whole perfectionism thing, I've been working on that for a long time. Where I've not used to it is in relationships and my fear of abandonment and the fact that I am constantly running the other way. And so like now I am a little more practicing that. Like, oh, this is a trigger from something else, has nothing to do with real time. And and it's a practice, and I'm just now learning like what's nervous system and what's a real time emotion, like when a reaction to what someone actually saying to me, not something that happened 40 years ago and that my body is still responding to every time a similar thing comes up. And I think that for me was the biggest thing out of this course. And then when I go like to that question that Carolyn answered, asked about people not like I have had clients who don't want to talk about their parents because they feel like they're saying bad things and they were great. Like my parents were great too. I never went hungry. I had clothes. No one physically abused me. However, it's really important like Rachel's mom's response to her situation. I had a similar thing and it's very important to kind of look at those responses in developmental periods to see how you're still carrying it and responding in a mature adult situation and you're like still acting like a 5-year-old. Like I didn't like I needed to do that and but I can't make someone else do it. So what I have learned as the teacher and like Lena was saying the physical stuff like now in my yoga classes we go through breathing in the beginning, we go through this during the middle and at the end we return to another breath and we always do shavasana and take significant time because that is where you notice what you notice and all this kind of like you know what I'm saying like it's a
There is lots of different ways to be able to support people. And that is the magic, I think, of this work, is that some of it will be done through dialogue, like today's class, right, where we'll integrate it. Some of it will be done through movement. You will never talk, and you might have incredible experiences through the movement, and some of it will be a combination. And it is why I think we can't ignore the body when we can't ignore the body, we can't ignore the mind, right? These pieces are not separate and they need to be integrated. Whether you are right now working more with the body and not as much with the mind, or vice versa. They are and the soul, right? Let's not forget about the soul side of us, right? These three parts, they are always in collaboration, and it's invaluable to learn how to work with all the pieces together. And I have people that come into programs and they're very in tune with the body, and then there are people that come in that are therapists and they're very in tune with cognition, and it's beautiful experience to be able to bridge the gap. Yes, Burgie, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Did you have a question? Maybe it has bad cell reception. Virgie, did you have a question?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I had to plug in. I'm on my phone. I had to plug in my earbuds.
No
Sorry.
worries.
First of all, thanks for offering this. And it was interesting. I had a little aha moment at the beginning because back when I was in university at 19, a psychologist, psychiatrist did that exercise with me years ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he threw it all back at me. He's like, and he, I don't know if he actually recorded it, but he took out like at that time, it was before internet days. I'll put on my video for a second, and he ended up saying, "So I'm talking to Brigida here, and she's lazy, she's stupid, she's this, she's that." I looked at him like, "Why are you saying all those things?" He goes, "Well, isn't that what you've been brought up to believe?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Huh?" Anyway, so after a bunch of adult trauma, being hit by cars, a pedestrian, being told I'd never walk again, blah, 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 learning how to walk. I've done tons of healing work. I walk, I teach yoga. I've done stuff like this, but I feel like the outing the critic, I'm very well aware of the critic. And I feel like part of, at least cognitively and quite probably physically too, I'm stuck in the, okay, so I'm angry now. Great. And I've been doing TRE, TRE, the trauma release exercise. I imagine you'd know it.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, how do we move past like this, like feeling stuck in like, okay, so I've got my boundaries up, but great. Like now I'm angry all the time.
Yeah. I would encourage you angry is there I would have so many thoughts and questions. One would be is I'd want to know your, how do I say this? I don't know if it's your experience with anger, your it's your beliefs about anger is probably the first thing I'd want to know, because so often I find most of us have a lot of thoughts about being angry and they're not positive.
Oh yeah, I was brought up like so I think Tammy had said the military family, my family's Bosnian women, female children are like no class citizen in my family. And my father, although he didn't never went to the military, is a classic narcissist, needs control of his environment, including the people in it. And so yeah, my voice was not allowed, but now I'm with my senior parents who are declining in health, and my anger's been coming up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you can't go on, like, great. I've gotten in touch with my bitch diva teenager the stage I never went through, but like this is enough, Brigida.
Yeah, and so
So
I would encourage, how can we take that anger, instead of thinking of anger as necessarily a bad thing, think of it as an energy.
hmm,
And how could you transform it? Not necessarily, we don't need to get rid of it. You don't need to release it. You don't even necessarily need to make it different. But how can, like, think of anger as an energy, and anger is a strong one. It's powerful.
hmm.
And
Oh yeah,
how,
I've been an activist most of my life, so I was able to channel that anger through advocacy and lots of different community work that I've done. But I haven't been able to sustainably transform my situation, not to the level I like.
yeah.
So I've done exercises. You probably know about Debbie Ford as well in
Mhm.
IFS.
Yeah, a
And
lot
there's a
of this
woman on,
work does have a lot of parts work in it.
okay. And there's a woman who was close friends with Debbie Ford, and she runs a group online for codependence. But she does the fun meditation where she says, with this in the shadow, to name it. What did she say? Name it, tame it, and claim it,
Hmm.
and makes it really fun. So I've played around with a lot of different things, but anyway, I don't know if, yeah, I don't know what else to say.
I would say there's a few things. One, I would not encourage you to tame it. I would encourage you instead to explore it more. And how can I take that energy, and whether it's through activism or sharing this work, or maybe it's creating a daily anger session, for if that's what you want to call it. I have clients that call it that, where you go outside and scream, and it is living inside of you, right? And so to give it a space, and it's not necessarily, anger is not a bad thing. It's just an energy.
No, I know that if
Yeah.
it's a great energy to
Yeah.
power a lot of
That's
amazing
right.
things.
That's what creates so much change in our society and our environments. And it might be that maybe that's what's calling to you right now, is more of that work in your life, and that will move it. I also though would encourage, there are certain movement practices that can really help with it.
Beyond TRE.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know TRE very well, so I don't know how it's.
Have you ever done it?
I have not ever done it. I've heard of
Okay.
it. I am a little bit familiar with it, but I do not know it well. But I do know there are certain somatic exercises that I have found for some people very beneficial, that are navigating anger.
First time I did TRE was, I think, 11 years ago at a yoga ashram in Mexico. And it was very, very powerful. And I got in touch with some profound feelings towards my father, and I cried. And
Mhm.
then I had this like wave of forgiveness.
Mm,
And then I found a good follow along video the other day. I know how to do it on my own, but I like to be guided so I don't have to be thinking.
sure.
And on Friday, because right now I'm dealing with a flare up in my SI joint. And and I didn't have any like huge emotions come. I just felt very calm and it got clear. It's like, okay, you're just going to rest this weekend. You can't drive that far to go to that cottage, even though
Yeah.
you'd love to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm interested in curious about your work. But
Yeah.
anyway, thank you. I think I've taken
Yeah.
up enough time.
Absolutely. No, no. And don't ever, Tammy had to experience this. Lena says this, there's never apologizing for taking up space.
Thanks.
Yeah. Carol Ann, did you have a question or comment?
I did. I was curious to know what happens when, so a person is stating their inner critic is talking, and the witness reflects it back in the tone and the
Yes.
hardness, and the person absorbs it and breaks down, starts to cry, has an emotion to it. What happens there?
Great question. That's where you stop and you say, I see that tear. That's that's a lot of the work we do. We really pay very specific attention to a reaction. I call it the feedback that the client is giving you. And so if they start to cry, they start to see emotion, we don't have to go any further. There's clients where I'm doing this work and I almost never even have to say it to them because the emotions start coming up, the feeling, and then we're going to go into those and we're going to learn about them and we're going to stay with them and explore them and spend a lot more time with them than I did with Tammy, right? Like, okay, let's stay with it. Stay with those tears. Tell me what's coming up with you. I see they're falling, that's when I might take them even deeper into the body. Like, okay, so as those tears are coming down, I see them coming down. What are you feeling in your body? Let's try to connect your body. If they have a hard time connecting to their body, I might ground their feet first and then say, let's just scan the body and notice what you're feeling and start to connect to the body experience. And then from there, we go into what I call the somatic journey. And that's the majority of the work that we do inside this program. And that's a great question, Caroline, because that does happen a lot. It does happen where they're just like, even I noticed it in Tammy. I don't know if you guys noticed it. When she started to say those, her face got a little bit changed, her whole body composition changed. If it was just me and Tammy and this wasn't for a class, I probably would have just said, what's coming up right now, Tammy, in your body? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and because I mean, I don't know about you, for me, that was when I first started doing this work, that was my first experience. It made me very emotional very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't want to just injure someone we don't want to say those words. We're not here to cause injury. If anything, we're trying to stop the injury. And we have some other techniques we use too, that people can take with them. So because a lot of this, for a lot of people, is just now having the awareness that there's even a critic inside of them. So many of our clients will not even know that, right? Like Alex, for example, people coming to the gym, right? Or Tammy, they're coming to a yoga class. They don't even know there's an inner critic in there. So we're making them first just aware. And then once they're aware, they're going to start hearing it a lot more. It's always been there. We all have it. And then once that's awareness, we do give them techniques to help support them because one of the things is it's hurting. It hurts. And we got to acknowledge that. One of my favorite techniques, and I'll just share it with all of you, is just saying, ouch. Because right alone, that's saying, wait a minute, ouch, that hurts. Like if someone were to, like if we were in a room together and, some of these things that we say to ourselves, feel like a sock in the stomach, right? A punch in the gut. Like if someone just punched me in the gut, like literally, physically, ow, is going to be my natural response. But we don't say that when that critic is beating ourselves up. So even if you just take one thing, guys, from this class today, if you start to notice your own inner critic and you start to say, ouch, that alone, you'll notice a shift. And even if you share that one thing with your clients. But yeah, that was a great question.
Thank you. That was good. And the ouch thing that's huge.
It's huge.
a million times a day, if you're honest with me.
I will tell my clients, I want you to keep track of how many times a day did you say ouch. And sometimes they'll be like, I didn't say it at all. And then I'll be like, the next day they'll be like, oh my God, Rachel, I said it 100 times today. And I'll be like, yeah, and that hurts. That's painful. And then they will start to see it. You know, a lot of people like to see like they want measurement, right? I'm improving. And that's also a great way. Oh, I only said it 10 times today. And I was being present with myself, right? Like it's not I only heard it 10 times because I was in La La Land all day. But yeah. Well, I did leave 90 minutes. It's 2:58. So we got 2 minutes to go. I will tell you guys, you know, if you have any questions, you want to know people's experiences, I cannot even put in words. Honestly, I feel like what happens inside these cohorts and these groups. But if you are one of those people and you're listening and you're on right now or you're watching the replay and you want to learn how to do this work on a really deep, powerful level, I will always say we go first. So you go through every single exercise yourself. I am a big believer that, you know, I used to use this analogy all the time, metaphor. I haven't used it in a long time, but my daughter, right? She's 18 now. She was 17 when she got her driver's license. If she had just picked up, as an attorney, Dana, you might appreciate this one. If she had just picked up that manual and read it and then just got the behind the wheel and started driving, how do we think that would have gone? Terrifyingly terrifying, right? But no, that's not how we do it, right? Yeah, we read a manual, but then we also get behind the wheel and we go in the parking lot first. And then from the parking lot, maybe we go around the neighborhood. And then around the neighborhood, we make it out into the streets. And that's this work. It's the best way I know how to describe it. But you got to go first. You got to experience it yourself. You have such profound awarenesses and growth. I mean, it's inevitable that you won't want to share it with every person you walk in the room with, but it is subtle and slow, right? So it's not you read a manual or you read a book and you ask questions. This is you do it. You do the work. And if that sounds like something that you're wanting and craving, then I invite you to apply. I invite you to apply the program. Yeah, it will take you places that you didn't even know were available. Really, truly. I'll hang out for another like 5 minutes or so if anyone has questions about the program, the structure, what it looks like. If you guys want to ask Lena or Tammy their experience, they both went through the last round with me. And if not, I appreciate your time and your energy and hope that we will meet again.
Will you be sending a follow-up email with the details?
I will. I will send an email. I mean, it's a 3-month program. Like I said, you go first. It is broken down into 3 Sundays where we spend about 5.5 hours together. And then in between those 3 Sundays, there is a weekly call where you're practicing the techniques. So this is not a just, you know, watching videos, learn something. This is you doing it and getting feedback. It is to me the only way we truly learn how to do something. I think a lot of people, I think Tammy and Lena would say too, a lot of people have gone through it have told me their favorite part has been those calls where, you know, you get stuck. Rachel, help me. Where do I go? Right? So how it works is basically, for example, I know Alex is doing it. So let's say Alex and Tammy. Alex may be leading Tammy through a session. If Alex gets stuck somewhere, which probably will in the beginning, right? Because we're in the parking lot. I jump in and like, try this, Alex, try that. Doesn't work. We take another turn, right? And then you get some feedback from me, from your peers, and then we switch roles. So then the next person goes, next person goes. Like Lena said, there is a lot of movement in this. Those Sundays, we do spend time moving together. learning the techniques. So there is movement techniques and there's also dialogue techniques. It is a combination. Any other questions, thoughts?
I just wanted to say thank you for the time that you took today. And I definitely came, I'm a note taker, so I'm feverishly like writing notes, because that's what I do. And so and then at some point I just kind of stopped taking notes, and just really just digesting. And so thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that, Dana, that you stopped because I'm a note taker too. But I've learned with this work, we put our pens down for the most part, and we learn it in our bodies through experience. And it's hard at first for all of us. Like, I went through school, and so a lot of school. So it's like everything's in my head. So it took me a while to get to the place where I could really, and I mean, I obviously I shared with you guys a little bit, trusting myself, right? To trust that it will land and stay and stick. And it
Great.
does. Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if we have no more questions, I will leave you all be. Thank you, Tammy, again. Really, really appreciate your vulnerability coming on screen. Lena, thank you for sharing a little bit about your experience. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. And I hope everyone has a fantastic week ahead.
Thank you.